Thank you to our sponsors for today's video, StarCharge and Amber. StarCharge is the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world and is also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage and microgrid solutions. This video is also brought to you by Amber. Amber offers a modern extended warranty for your Tesla's battery and more without the burden of long-term contracts or upfront payments. Check out the link in the description below to browse their plan options and get started with a free over-the-air diagnostic check. Welcome to our new test car. Holy smokes! Should we go massaging seats on? Launch mode activated. It's struggling for grip. Just spun the tires all the way. Dude, it's so easy. You could just chuck it in.
Rotation is
Dude,
nice.
All freaking day. Look at this. It's crazy. This car's a drift missile. Lucid! Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome to the new and updated Lucid Air. And this particular one is the full big boy range spec. It's got the aero wheels and tires, allowing for over 500 miles of EPA range. It has a new updated chemistry in the battery, which is now roughly 118 kilowatt hours. It's had some little improvements here and there. And then of course, many efficiency improvements, notably a heat pump, other drivetrain thermal strategies, and just honestly a little bit better screwed together car than the very early cars that we've tested and have actually owned. So we're very familiar with Lucid, and I wanted to test a lot of the updates, and Lucid was so cool. They said, hey, why don't you take this one, just take it, use it for a few months, whatever you need, get all the data, get all the testing, and then give it back when you're done, and maybe we can swap into a Pure or something like that. So we have this sort of as a long-term test, and Jordan joins me behind the camera, and it all starts right now at an undisclosed location in the middle of the Mojave Desert at a proving grounds because, well, we got to break the car in. No better way to break the car in than at a many thousands of acre proving ground to go shred it. So that's one way to do it, and that's how we're going to do it. This is essentially our new test car for Out of Spec for quite a long time. I'm very thankful to Lucid for letting us use it. And we're here to really evaluate all of the changes, the hopefully many improvements that the car needed. And I really think to meet their claim of building one of the best cars on earth, and certainly the best sedan is what we hear from them very often, well, we're going to put it to the test. So for this series of many videos, we're going to be driving this car on long distance trips because that's really what the showcase spec we have here with the 19-inch aero wheels with the Grand Touring non-performance trim. This is really the range, the long range version. But it's still not slow. This has over 800 horsepower, and allegedly, Jordan, we had it lined up next to an Audi RS6 on the way over here, which I was driving, and I was giving it everything it had, and you just walked me in an RS6.
The Lucid just has a lot to it.
It's crazy. This is the slow one, and it's faster than an RS6. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, GT, I mean, not the slow one, but
sure.
The big battery, like it can just do everything, which is pretty cool.
Well, there's two major levels above this. There's Grand Touring Performance. They no longer build the Dream Editions for our market, but that would have been above this in terms of performance. And then they have the crazy Sapphire that I cannot wait to test, and maybe we'll actually have to bring out here for some more things. But the reason I selected this specification was Out of Spec Dave, my dad, owned a Lucid. I think we actually had it longer than he did. And we cannonballed that car. We really knew that car. And so this is almost an identical spec to our old Lucid, just with all the new and updated parts. So I really wanted a baseline comparison of the old car to the new car. And 2025 is considered more of like a technical update for Lucids. There were a lot of rolling changes over the years, and I'll have a list of improvements that we can share with you. But I wanted to introduce the car to you and tell you a little bit about what we've done with it so far. I've had this car for just under a week, I think, something like that, maybe 5 days. And I picked it up at Lucid headquarters in Newark, California. Shout out to my friend Andrew for literally getting there at 7 in the morning to meet me there on a Sunday. Super cool guy, super cool team. The whole Lucid team is great. And we picked up the car, and the first thing we did with it was road trip it, because that's what you do when you have an over 500 mile range car. I actually drove this car from Newark, California, which is very close to San Jose, San Francisco area. The Bay Area, I guess. And then we drove it down to LA on one charge. And it's not like I drove gently. I just booked it the whole way. Colton was in the Porsche 718 that you can see those videos on my personal channel, Kyle Connor. And we drove them side by side, and the Porsche had to stop for fuel. We both left at 100%. The Porsche had to stop for fuel way before this thing was even out of range. Now, that's a sports car with a small fuel tank for weight savings, and we were going pretty good. But still, the range is without question one of the top points of attractiveness for the Lucid. Would you agree, Jordan?
Yeah, range and efficiency, it's kind of trying to be king at it, and in a lot of ways it is.
A lot of ways it certainly is. Now, after that, we actually parked the car for a few days, and then we drove it out here to Mojave. We did a charging test yesterday. The videos actually will come out of order, but I have to say a huge thank you to EVgo, because we went to the EVgo testing, interoperability testing laboratory to film our first baseline charging test for this car. So we've logged a 0 to 100. To be honest, it didn't go as well as I was hoping it would go, Jordan. It was, maybe the battery was a bit too warm in the car. The thing with charge testing is it takes such a long time to build out the perfect picture of how a vehicle charges. So we've got a baseline, and then through road trips, through testing back in Colorado, when we get the car back, we can start to fill in the gaps and really showcase, okay, is the charging improved? Lucid claims about a 25 to 30% charging improvement from like a 10 to 80 perspective. And I wouldn't say it charged poorly at EVgo. It did pretty damn well. We saw 300 kilowatts, but yeah, it just kind of thermal derated a little bit early in my impression. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm excited to fill in the charging curve. I mean, a couple thousand miles of road trips are ahead of me, and that's my plan, is actually to do a lot of long stretches with deep charges, just because I'm really curious to see how it does with all of that. And that's one of the highlights of this car, is the long stretch. A lot of people will say they won't buy an EV until they can do 500 miles on a charge. So a lot of people are kind of eyeing Lucid and how does that actually work. And I'm going to kind of point out that I don't think you really need to do 500 miles of range. We've already kind of pointed out with every other car we test, but this is the one car that can do that.
Well, that's the thing. I think, you know, with this vehicle, we have it for a period of time where we can showcase different road trip strategies. You're going to drive it back to Colorado while I stay out here. I'm actually judging Motor Trend SUV of the Year this year. So I'll be out here working through all of those SUVs for the next week. Hope I've put on a ton of sunscreen. I hope I don't char. It's crazy. It's going to be so hot out here. But Jordan, I think you can make it back to Colorado with one charging stop.
I don't think with the elevation it's possible, but the car tells me 4 stops. I'm going to do it in 2.
I think you can do it in 1. But this is the idea. That's step 1. Then, of course, we're going to do a race to Vegas. I've already arranged the new Porsche Taycan in the full range spec. That will have that coming very soon. That's the updated one with the crazy charging performance. And, of course, we have the Model S Plaid that I can put my car on aero wheels. Model S Plaid and Model S Long Range are almost identical in the highway EPA range rating, so there's almost no difference.
Yep.
Which is pretty good. So that's exciting. So this is basically the new Lucid Air. You're going to see a ton of videos coming on it. And I'd like to walk you through what we're going to be focusing on in this video, which is not, you know, I guess more of a performance-oriented test, but more of a drivetrain and battery thermal-oriented test. One thing we noticed was when we were really driving our old Lucid Air hard, that would have been like up in the canyons or in certain situations where we're just ripping on it over and over and really, you know, exploiting the amazing chassis that this car has, we would get some powertrain thermal limitation. Now, I actually didn't even think it was that big of a deal, Jordan. I thought it derated very smoothly, you know, gave us plenty of time to drive hard, but Lucid actually didn't like that. They said a car shouldn't thermal derate, it should just be able to go full send. And they actually claim you cannot overheat the motors in this thing. The motors can just rip full send.
So maybe they've been talking to Hyundai.
Yeah, right, of course, Ioniq 5, which there's an Ioniq 5N over there. We'll have a video coming of that on track very soon. You know, there's so many cars we can't actually share as well. It's very exciting. But I wanted to share, Jordan, some of the thermal updates from the powertrain side of things with you, because I think you'll find it interesting. And I have to say a shout out to my friend Ahmad, who I'm sure will be watching this video. He's awesome. He leads a great team at Lucid on powertrain, battery. That's what they're really known for here, is efficiency. And they're always working on iterative changes. Now, I know we sound very positive on the Lucid so far, Jordan. We're going to have a video coming as well after we live with the car for a few thousand miles of all the things we'd like to see improved. Because already there's some things that I didn't like about our old Lucid that are still here in this car, such as when you turn the headlights on. I think the headlight ECU makes some high frequency noise. Almost makes me go insane while driving at night. Did you notice that last night at all?
A little bit, and they're also too bright.
Oh, that's right. The headlights, you were following me and everyone was flashing you coming this way.
I thought they were warning me about cops or something. Not that we were speeding, but I thought they were warning me, or like, but it's like, oh, I realized my lights are just really bright and my brights were not on. I double checked.
Yeah, when you put your brights on, I almost couldn't see a thing.
Right.
So I think we just need to angle them down a bit. I'm sure there's a little adjustment in there, so we'll take care of that. So from a thermal management on the powertrain and efficiency, here's a snapshot according to Ahmad, and I have to say a real thank you. The real world efficiency, there's a new electromagnetic motor design, makes a 3% range increase. Now, what's important to remember for a lot of people is you can't just compare the old range number with the new range number, by the way, because the EPA testing got way harder for this year. So this car is tested in the new EPA test, and it has a little bit different battery than before as well. So that was 112 kilowatt hours. This is 118. They claim. I'm not sure if that's gross or usable. They usually have very small buffers. Lucid recommends an 80% charge, but we'll go through all that. The real world range, which I'm not sure how they would calculate real world range, but that they claim a 9% range increase overall, which is battery plus motors and everything. That's huge. On a car that already was rated at 500 plus miles of range, to add almost 10%, that's like 50 miles more.
Yeah, so according to the materials, the EPA is 512. And
actually, the car charges to 516 though.
Yeah, it shows 516 on the, so I don't know if that's like actual guessometer versus rated range versus.
Well, I've heard 516 EPA.
Yeah.
I think the website might be wrong.
Which it could be. A lot of websites are wrong, I've figured out recently.
But we're close enough. 512, 516 in the region. And that is on the much stricter testing standard. So in fact, from the previous year to the new year, if you kept the car the same, it would have lost range on paper. Tesla's did this, of course, a few other cars. We've seen range dips. Lucid just had to basically upgrade the car from an efficiency and powertrain standpoint to counteract that. Okay, so that's that right there. What else do we have, Jordan? We have cold temperature efficiency improvements from a heat pump. This is exciting. There's a 7% range improvement between negative 10 degrees Celsius and 5 degrees Celsius, and a 5% increase in highway range between negative 10C and 5C. So that shows that, okay, in a combined cycle, you get a bit more benefit driving at low speed in the city, of course, makes sense versus just pushing the air at the highway, but still highway 5% range increase. You have to imagine this is a car that can go really far. So 5% is a huge number.
And I believe previously a heat pump was an option, or it did come on the highest trims, whereas now the heat pump is completely standard across the board.
You know, I don't think any of them had the heat pump.
Really?
Yeah, but it could be.
Yeah,
I don't think they did.
The most premium ones could have it. That's what I've read, but again, there's a lot of information to...
Yeah, my understanding was no heat pump in previous Lucids.
Well, this is a welcome embrace.
There's an AC charging improvements as well. So from a controls strategy, I can't talk, there's a 2% energy consumption reduction while AC charging, so just less losses, more energy going into the battery. And real world fast charging, this is what matters to me on a long distance road tripping car. It can't just be about range, it has to be about fast charging combined with highway efficiency, and you have a 15 to 30% faster charging across most use cases. And that was our biggest complaint about the Lucid previously.
15 to 30% is a wide margin. So yeah, again, something I'm excited to test.
Yeah, we got the baseline test. Like I said, wasn't promising. There's more to come. We have to figure this car out. And, you know, previously, so the thing with Taycan is maybe not nearly as efficient as this car, but can onboard so much power so quickly, holding over 300 kilowatts to 65% state of charge in that one.
This doesn't.
Did something just explode?
Yeah, I think so. There is missile testing out here, so.
Oh, amazing.
Pretty cool, huh?
I love it here.
Yeah, Lockheed does missile testing out here.
That's so sick. I felt that in my chest.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay, so yeah, that was our biggest disappointment. I really want to see Lucid. All they do is talk about range. Range matters to people who don't own an electric car. It matters to people who own an electric car who want to avoid public fast charging, which in California you definitely want to do.
I've realized this is what I want if I lived in LA.
Dude, like I'm totally in on the range game after dealing with charging around Southern California this week. It sucks. We had to wait almost 4 hours to charge this car at one point.
Yeah, you did go all the way from the Bay Area to here, but you really should have stopped.
I should have stopped in the desert when I could have charged. So I actually would have been better off if I had less range.
Yep.
But anyway, okay, interesting. And then the big thing that we're going to test in this video, just for fun, because we can, is there is now a continuous power performance improvement. So there's a testing strategy, RDU, where the manufacturers have to communicate basically the 30-minute full power runtime of the drive units. And that has increased from 121 kilowatts on the previous car, which is if you go full power after 30 minutes, which is a really long time. There's no like real world scenario where you could ever do this. You'd be limited to 121 kilowatts. Here, a huge improvement, 60% improvement up to 195 kilowatts now. So this significantly helps with canyon driving and track lapping. They estimate a 55 and over 55% improvement in thermal capability in aggressive driving, leading to a balanced, great handling vehicle. Now, you take those improvements on this car, which can't make nearly as much power as the Sapphire, and I'm really curious to see the Sapphire's thermal limits. I know there's an endurance mode, there's a drag mode. I think that might be pushing the limits of the drivetrain if you were to stay on it all the time, but then they have a much improved like rear dual motor system with huge cooling and heating capability. It's wild.
No, Sapphire rips.
Yeah, you've been in Sapphire.
You haven't yet. I'm really excited for you to try it.
Yeah. Okay, so battery warm-up speeds as well. This is important for us in Colorado for winter testing. A 50% increased drive unit static heating power. So that means where you can take the motors and run them inefficiently and charge the battery. So they used to do 4 kilowatts, now they do 6 kilowatts. And I'm not sure if that means it can do 12 since this has 2 motors, but I'm sure we can find out and get some more answers there. But that means this reduces the time for battery preconditioning for fast charging. And then another final really most important drivetrain update, there's so many little things, I love this, is the front motor no longer makes all that stupid noise into the cabin. It kind of sounded cool, but then it got old and it got really annoying as we had our car, and this is supposed to be an S-Class competitor. I was like, this is not an S-Class noise performance. So they put the front motor on isolation mounts now, so the chassis and the cabin no longer acts as a reverberation chamber for the high frequency motor noise, and it's not silent, but it's almost silent. I mean, we were in some other vehicles recently that are completely silent. Even F-150 Lightning is almost nearly silent, but you do hear the inverters on the outside of that one. That's quite loud when it goes by. I think they struck a nice balance here. You can tell just enough when you're starting to move, but it's almost out of the way. A huge improvement from before. Jordan, you've experienced that too. What's your impression?
Yeah, I've been in this for a few hours on the highway at high speeds, and also stop and go traffic, and it's all pretty much the same. Nice, quiet experience. It'd be crazy if they added, active noise cancellation and other things that some other cars are playing around with, but it doesn't really need it either.
So there's been some other improvements beyond just powertrain. I think chassis kind of stays the same, and chassis has been one of the highlights of the Lucid Air. It's not running in air suspension, but I just think the steel option is so much more natural. The car is really nice. You had it in the canyons for the first time. I know the car pretty well in the canyons as well. It's just so, I don't even want to say balanced. It's almost oversteery, especially on the arrows.
It's so, yeah, it's just so composed. Like, I think I got into this expecting to be let down because I've been so impressed with other air suspension systems, but I guess this is more simple. A lot of people with air are scared of like, what's the fix cost when something does break? And it's like, well, not many Lucid owners are like planning to own this outside of warranty, but this is just a really well damped spring system. Yeah,
it's amazing. You've got double wishbone, you've got multi-link in the rear. I mean, it's just set up really nicely. The bushing settings are really nice. I think from my perspective, it's one of the very few cars that I can say, given the compromise of no air and the weight of the car and that it needs to be a luxury vehicle, it's perfect.
It is funny though, it's the Lucid Air and there's no air.
I think it's better for it. I think there's something honest and natural about having a spring suspension where you do have a sense of just what's happening. It's not just like air, taking away all the road feel. It's really cool, actually. It's so supple and soft, but kind of connected as well, in a sense. But then you go into a corner and, you have a lot of like subframe, soft bushing mounts, soft chassis mounts, that the car just feels a little bit looser, that I'm sure the Sapphire tightens all that up. Because Sapphire uses a very similar suspension geometry, just with completely different settings, which kind of sounds like that's from a performance-oriented setting. That's what I would like, but for the range one, this is perfect.
Yep.
There's also a new chip in the infotainment system. Let's show everyone inside, Jordan. It's super snappy. And the thing that I like is when you're inputting data, you can drag to type, like on an iPhone or an Android.
Yeah, that's great interior, honestly. I don't know if I love the 3 screens, but that's just how Air is set up. Gravity will, of course, change that. But it is snappy. Like, the 3 screens before annoyed me because just interacting with them is like, okay, now I'm more annoyed. 3 screens and it's slow, but this one is nice, very snappy, and the chip is retro, whatever you call it. You can put it in old Airs.
Yeah, I think it's a paid upgrade though, right? It's not a free upgrade.
You have to take it to a dealer and they'll install the new chip, and then you get the better speed, which is honestly worth it.
Yeah, whatever, even if it's anything under like $2,000, just do it.
Yeah.
Because it's really, as fast as you can hit something, boom, you got it. There's still some things that I'd like to see improved, and again, those will come in the video. For example, if you can't make it to a destination, it's really cool that on the map it shows you exactly where you're gonna run out, which is what Rivian used to do, and then they got rid of it for some reason. But what I'd like to know is how many -% I am away, because then I know if it's like -2% arrival, then I know I can just back off a little bit and make it. Or if it's like -12%, then I know I have to stop and charge. Don't just show me 0. Little stuff like that, Jordan. Would you agree?
Yeah, a few things with the route planner that I would nitpick, and I will be on my road trip videos, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I mean, our goal for this video is to be as much of a reviewer for someone making a purchasing decision, but also an advocate for current and future Lucid owners to have the best possible product. And it's, you know, the company is so involved in so many different projects. Their headspace is in Gravity and in midsize, and the Air is still on the market. I'm not saying they're ignoring the car, obviously not, because they've improved it so much. But we just want to be, again, advocates for owners, for prospective owners, so that they can get the best possible car. And I think that's honestly why Lucid also probably loaned us this car for such a long time, because they're like, they know we're going to dig into every little area, find what we find, and we're not finding it to say like, don't buy the car or we have issues. It's like, can you improve this so everyone can get a better experience? That's our angle.
Yeah, and it's basically a lot of our things so far is software related, and that's an OTA update away from being remedied.
Yeah, it has dog mode now, Jordan, and it actually lets you go dog mode down to low single-digit state of charge, which is amazing, and it keeps your pet safe, so I love that. They call it creature comfort, which is amazing. So I love that. And I mean, there's you know, the seating position, I still don't really fit that well in the car, especially getting into the RS6. I'm just like, oh my goodness, the Germans know how to get a great steering wheel and a great seating position. I get in here and it's, I don't know, I don't fit in the car. That's just a very personal thing. I have friends of mine who own Lucid Air. Shane, for example, he fits perfectly. He loves his car. The seating position's amazing. So that's just something I inherently, for whatever reason, can't get low enough, can't get the wheel close enough to me, just don't ever feel comfortable with the car. I always feel like I'm sitting on top rather than in it. And with that said, I think we should go drive it, Jordan.
Yeah,
we have some amazing testing facilities around here where we can evaluate the car. We have different ride road surfaces. We have limit handling surfaces like a skid pad. We're going to drift it because can you drift a Lucid Air Grand Touring? Everyone wants to know, of course.
That's consumer testing. Yeah.
Consumer testing, yes. And then what I think really is the consumer testing is we're going to take it on a winding road course here, which simulates a canyon environment where, you know, we are not on public roads. We're able to push the car. But our goal for the canyon testing is to keep it just on the edge of tire, but no squealing. We just want to showcase like how someone would drive on the road, which is quickly, but not like full racetracks, send-descends, which that stuff we'll do with Sapphire.
Yeah.
But we are going to go take this and shred it around a figure 8 and do some drifts.
Yeah, and it'd be good testing with these tires. Obviously, with better tires, you can do even more, you know, limit handling testing, but like, it'd be curious to see what limits can it handle with these Aero wheels and tires.
Well, of course, and these Aero wheels and tires are 245s. They're really narrow. This is not the tire built for this type of stuff, and Lucid actually knows that, and they're sending us a set of 20-inch, cool, I believe, or 21s, the performance wheels that we're able to put on, but those are actually getting shipped to the office in Colorado, and so we don't have them here at the testing facility. So it's like, should we wait, but we're at the testing facility and we have an 800 horsepower sedan, can we just go drive it? That's all I want to do. So this is not really meant to be an instrumented test video. We're not looking at grip, we're not looking at stuff like that. We're just saying, how does the chassis perform? Which in theory, it should perform very similarly on the performance wheels and tires, just at higher speeds.
Yep.
And of course, the thermal test, you'd be able to go a little bit faster in the corners before tires squeal and stuff like that. But I think for a general driver, we just want to make sure a normal person driving this car in a spirited manner is not going to toast it or overheat it. Jordan, because we are at a really cool secret test facility, if you can look in the middle of the Mojave Desert, just awesome. We essentially are going to evaluate this car in a few different areas. We're going to do the drivetrain thermal testing initially. We're going to look at chassis performance, just see if the car rotates, how it feels. Again, not looking at hardcore speed because we are on the aero wheels and tires, and it'll be significantly faster on the performance wheels and tires. But I want to feel like how ESP feels. There's 3 settings now. I guess there's always been 3 settings. You can actually now get into sprint mode, I'm noticing, without a stupid warning screen. You can just go boom, sprint, which is amazing. It'll let you do launch control as well with ESP off, which is awesome. It'll just roast the tires, I'm sure. So there's a lot of like just little improvements coming from the old car that I'm just thrilled to experience. And well, no better and safer place than to do it at a place like this.
Lots of radio chatter.
Lots of radio chatter out here.
We have to be aware of everything. It's like, it's pretty uptight operation.
Yeah.
Which is why we're also being very cautious what we're filming.
Yes.
But that's the whole, it's just awesome that they let us out here to do this.
Yes.
So appreciate the undisclosed
automaker
location
that owns this facility that we can't say their name, which you would think they would want us to say their name, but
it's not Lucid, but
yeah, oh my God, if Lucid had a facility like this, dude, it'd be amazing.
That would be sick. Yeah.
So we're gonna head out onto the vehicle dynamics area and just get a sense of the car, warm up the tires a little bit. This car is talked about so much in terms of straight line acceleration, Sapphire being a monster, but also in terms of range, but never about how well these cars handle, Jordan.
Right.
These are insanely fun and balanced and competent vehicles. And it's almost like, my impression when we had the early car was like they built one of the best driving cars ever, regardless electric or combustion. But then they forgot all the software stuff. And it's taken them a couple years now to catch up with every kind of software thing. And there's still some fine tuning left, but dude, just overall quality compared to the old car to the new car. There's not a single thing I can point to that say this is a make or break, right. But it's just the feeling of the materials. It's less rattles. It's little things around that just, yeah, this is a much more solid experience. And finally getting close to them saying S-Class competitor. I'm not sure they're there yet. But
they're trying to benchmark a lot of different companies. And in some ways, I think they are, and maybe even exceeding. But in other ways, it's not. And it's like, we're not surprised. Very few automakers come out with their first product and nail everything. No one does. And so the fact that they have this good of engineering, and now they're catching up on software and build quality and fit and finish, they have a little bit more work to do with that. But again, this is just still first gen Lucid Air, just updated.
Yeah, take a look out here. It's just amazing where we are. This facility is so freaking cool. So, okay, let's talk about the first test that we're gonna do. We're gonna try and just get some heat into the drivetrain. We're charged up to 99% at the moment, and we AC charged the car. So the car sat overnight. It's warming up outside. It's 87 degrees Fahrenheit right now, but it is not that bad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come into settings here, vehicle. I'm then gonna go to drive settings, and here is where we have our Lucid stability control on, partial, or full off, which I love that we have an electric car with full off. And I'm gonna run on in full at the moment. So Jordan, we're gonna camera up, we're gonna run, I'll show everyone the course over here. This is the figure 8 that we have set up at the moment. So we'll just kind of show everyone roughly what we're gonna do. Now, one thing on the drive modes, Jordan, that still is a bit annoying with Lucid is they do not let you set an individual setting, which is something we've been asking for so long.
We've asked other makers too, like not everyone does individual.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out why, because sometimes I want the sprint power, but with smooth suspension and with the light steering.
Right.
And, you know, they kind of lope in all the driveline settings together. So this is basically the figure 8 that we're going to be testing the ESP calibration on, the ABS systems, the overall just vibe and feel of the chassis, and then of course we'll go full off and get some cool shots. I already know this car slides because maybe I've slid it around a couple times, and just get a awesome in the range spec. This is not Sapphire.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to get Sapphire here.
Right.
Sapphire here would be amazing. And there's so many things I want to try with Sapphire on the torque vectoring. Like, I'm a big proponent of keeping the car on the line that you select. So when you're in a constant radius corner like this, what I really want is when I hit the throttle, not necessarily for the car to just rotate, but for it to hold the line just at a higher speed. So here, for example, as I go a little bit faster, you can see we push wide. The benefit of torque vectoring was we could actually regen a bit on the inside motor and then push on the outside motor. So here, it just naturally, the car wants to go straight. And that is just, you know, the nature of a safe designed car. But if I drive it a little bit spicily, I can go partial stability control, just as an example. I can then turn in a little hard, big throttle. And Jordan, you can see we have rotation at this point.
Yep.
So the car allows you to do what you want it to do, which is great. But Sapphire can do some magical things with individual motors on the back. So Lucid Air testing, Jordan. We're about to just get a feel for the car.
There's worse days at work.
There's worse days it works. We're at 98% state of charge. First thing we have to do is launch it.
Okay.
You guys will just have to deal with some radio chatter from time to time. There's nothing we can really do. We just have to keep it on for safety. There's a bunch of people out here. So
3 on a skid.
all right. So what we have is the car in sprint mode. And we are going to go launch mode. And we have climate on. So the whole idea is we're going to kind of get the car in straight line acceleration. We're going to try the figure 8, and then we'll get it on the winding road and see how the thermals handle it. We know, again, aero, wheels, and tires. Ready?
Ready.
Left foot hard on the brake, flooring it with the right. Launch mode activated.
It's struggling for grip.
Just spun the tires all the way. And there we go. Dude.
Yeah, that felt pretty good. 800 horsepower.
So definitely when the weight comes off the front,
Yep.
it's just so much. It's many. Sorry, we have to keep listening to the radio too. But no question, this thing is fast in a straight line. And as we mentioned, it doesn't really slow down at high speeds either.
Yeah.
It just pulls and pulls and pulls and pulls, which is honestly pretty impressive. So what we're going to do now is the figure 8. So I'm going to go into settings. We're going to go Lucid Stability Control on full. We're going to run a figure 8, which is one of my favorite tests of a car, because you can test acceleration, braking, turn in, corner stability, and corner exit all together.
Both directions, yep.
Yeah, and you can run, you know, basically you're spreading out your tire wear as well, which is great. So we'll start with ESP full on, get a sense of how the car performs, and we're only running in sprint mode here because sprint mode, again, is designed for some pretty hardcore stuff like this. Everything's strapped in the back, even our chips.
Yep. Even our chips, our ruffles.
Oh my
later.
gosh. Okay, great, love it. I'm matted, just leaning on ESP. Dude, so fast when we come in. Just getting on the brakes, you can feel, dude, even here ESP is kind of out of the way, just holding it and full power. It's amazing how nicely tuned. There's something flying around in the back.
Yeah, the backpack could not, the seatbelt could not handle the backpack.
All right, well, we'll do a couple laps like this. I mean, pretty nice how loosey-goosey the ESP is in this. I mean, the car is so fast, and you can just kind of hold it right on tire.
But man, there's some enthusiasts over at Lucid tuning this stuff.
Yeah, holy smokes. You can hold it right at threshold braking before it gets too aggressive. This was really, really, really nicely tuned. That's amazing. All right, partial stability control. So I'm still sprint mode. We're just sort of in the middle on traction control. And this is sort of, I think, the intention to be similar to like BMW M Dynamic mode or ESC Sport mode in Audi, stuff like that, where it's like, okay, we're not going to let you spin, but we're going to let you have some fun and not clamp down on the fun so hard. It's basically giving the car the okay that you're like, okay, I kind of know what I'm doing here. But I have to say, like, the ability for it to threshold brake without just kicking in ABS, all of the inputs here are tuned by hardcore driving enthusiasts. So let's get on it here, coming around. Oh, nice little rotation. Hard throttle. Come on, baby. Just gentle, gentle. There we go. Gets me power when I want. And full power on the exit. Still a lot of ESP from my impression. Arrows.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just so fast. And you can hear it grabbing brakes up there. It's actually even a little bit more ABS or sorry, ESP interaction than I was expecting. But just the way this thing gets through. But we're not really here to test with ESP on, Jordan.
No.
We want off. Let me have driveline controls. Should we go massaging seats on?
It's one of the few cars you can do both.
I'm going to go for a rolling massage, actually.
I'm going to, my seatbelt's locked, but I think I can do deep. Yeah, there we go. Level 2.
Level
start.
2 deep. Okay, so now, ready to have some fun?
Yep.
Oh, baby, dude. Look at this.
That's what you came here for.
Oh my gosh.
You know, you're just on your way to Starbucks.
Dude, it's so easy. You could just chuck it in.
Rotation is
Dude,
nice.
all freaking day. Look at this. Oh my God, we are going to destroy these tires. It's just a
Keep
cloud
in
of
mind, I
smoke.
need to get home on these tires.
Well, I'd say we broke in the tires.
Yep.
Okay, we have to get a couple shots of that. We did not bring spare tires.
No.
Note to self, when you test a Lucid, bring a trailer full of tires.
Well, it's got a lot of storage space. You might fit the tires in the trunk.
Dude, there's still smoke everywhere.
Wow.
Okay, so Tiff Nadell reviewed the BMW M5 E39 on fifth gear like 20 years ago. The thing that he used, the words he used were, it's like putty in his hand. That's what this car is like to me.
Wow.
And I'm like, I've never driven a car where I'm like, oh, I totally get what he's talking about, because I can make this car do anything. You can tell I came into this corner a bit too hot. We had a little bit too much rotation. I was at full lock. Just a little bit more throttle actually pulled the front motor. And I'm able to make it do these crazy things.
A modern putty in your hand.
Yeah, that's not the fastest way around the figure out, by the way.
Right. No.
That's just the most fun way.
The most fun, yeah.
So we'll cool down the tires a little bit, Jordan. We got to get some shots of that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can ask the Volkswagen guy to follow us.
Yeah.
So you can get some running shots, because holy smokes. Lucid! You can't do that in a Model S. There's no way it's that. I own a Model S.
You've tried, yeah.
It's you can do some cool things with it, but it's not as just.
Not the same.
I could fall asleep just with
the massaging seat.
Meanwhile,
yeah, totally.
we're just like in this big super sedan, just. Okay, Jordan's in our buddy Matt's. He's testing a GLI. They're going to follow us and get some shots so you guys can see just how insane this car must look driving around. Let me make sure I'm stability control off. I'll make sure these guys are good, and then we'll do a run. Crazy. This car's a drift missile. It is a drift missile, and the front motor just pulls you right out. Powertrain guys, chassis guys, the integration guys, A+. If you're a driving enthusiast, buy a Lucid Air. Just buy one. That's insane. So now we're on to a little bit more thermal testing. Obviously, we've already rapidly got some heat into the car from the, oh, it's pretty bumpy over here.
Yeah.
We've got it into some heat in the car from a couple drift laps, but it wasn't much. So now what we have the vehicle in is sprint mode with stability control and partial. And we're basically gonna go just before tire squealing speeds. A, just to preserve the tires, but also to simulate how you would drive on a normal road. So we'll just kind of keep it, you know, simulating a lot of throttle like this, and then a lot of regen coming up here, and just driving it fairly aggressively, trying to heat soak the system, if you will. So not really using much friction brake because it has a lot of off throttle regen, which is awesome. So,
and the regen is definitely limited above 90, but we are just below 90, so.
you mean 90%?
90%, yeah.
All right, so we can come through here. Again, just getting a sense of how it drives, which is awesome. Staying below tire squealing speeds, and it's just, I am in love with driving this car, Jordan. You know, and even actually the faster I go, the less the driving position matters to me. So we'll see basically how far we can go. We're at 87% state of charge, and that was like a really gentle run. That's the route. So I'm gonna hit start, and once we complete a lap, we're just gonna rip on it.
Yep.
And see when we start getting derates. We'll do a 10-minute pretty hardcore, look at this, like big power, big regen test like this. We're about halfway through. What are we at? 4 minutes 38 seconds.
Yep.
And this is just an arbitrary time limit that we've set. We're in the really tight section right now, but what I have been doing is just kind of going full throttle and then full regen when possible. So like coming out of this corner, just, and then big regen as we come into the next corner. And so far, the only thing that's happened is the AC compressor has cranked up, but it's also 89 degrees Fahrenheit outside. And so far, I feel like this is very representative of a pretty quick street drive. And I just want to be sliding the car around. And I'm having to rein myself in at every opportunity. But I mean, it's not like we're being that gentle on the car. And again, I'm trying to use just regen, not friction brakes.
Yeah, a lot of throttle, a lot of regen, and it's hot. I mean, pretty representative, like you said. No issues.
Yeah. I mean, the car feels so nicely balanced.
My AC seat is ripping. The AC itself is ripping.
Yeah, we've got air conditioning dialed up. I mean, this is how you would drive a canyon. And, dude, the car is so just perfect for drivers, I think.
Yep.
It's like soft. It's a big Luxo barge, but you drive it fast, and I love that. Throttle, regen, still giving full power. 6 minutes in. Got a little tire squeal. Can't go tire squeal, Kyle.
Yeah, yeah.
Jordan, we are now over 10 minutes into our basically as fast as you could drive on a canyon test with max regen and full throttle at every opportunity. And not only is the car still extremely pleasurable to drive, we're getting very bad efficiency. Yeah, so Lucid's known for like the best efficiency. I'm just going to chill now because zero sign of derating at all. Which, of course, on a racetrack, you'd do more. But I have to go here to, vehicle trip information, 1 mile per kilowatt hour since last charge.
Oh.
But, I mean, come on.
I mean, we did some
Does it go below 1?
Because that's a good question.
We might be below 1. Because it's a big battery.
Kind of like how Rivian won't go above 4.
Yeah, I mean, we've burned 21% in 22 miles.
Wow.
And we could have been way harder on it. But that's the thing with electric cars.
Yeah.
So we'll give it a little bit of a cool down, and I have to say, like, AC compressor is boogieing.
Yep.
So there you have it. That's the Lucid Air on the Canyon Road test safely here. This is, if you had the stickier wheels and tire, you could probably go a bit faster. But Jordan, I think we should jump in the Mustang Mach-E because that's a car that we know has thermal issues. We should run it through the same 10-minute test. And then people can actually see kind of how impressive this is.
Yeah, good benchmark.
I mean, like, I think a lot of cars, even Model S, Model 3, probably could do this just fine. But I think this is what, I don't even think the previous car would have overheated here. But all our viewers need to know is under normal, crazy situations, going drifting and, wide open throttle with the car completely sideways, and then coming straight over here to the road course.
Yeah.
I have no issues with drivetrain thermal management. Maybe once the battery gets in the red, it's hard for it to cool itself back. That could be. I mean, like, we could even do this test after a DC charge. That could be rougher on it. But ultimately, for most normal people, if you live in Los Angeles, you want to go rip Angeles Crest, that's a very common situation. You won't have to DC charge. You'll leave it 100%, and you'll have all the thermal ability you need, I think, for a really hardcore street drive. Jordan, it's been an incredible day out here at the testing facility with the Lucid. What a way to start our long-term sort of testing with this car over the next few months. I mean, there's so much that we want to do with this thing. There's so much we've learned already. One thing is, holy smokes, this is one hell of a dynamic vehicle, isn't it?
It can do a lot of things. Well, we've also experienced the frustrating charging way out in LA, but then all the vehicle dynamic stuff here. So yeah, we've already done everything. Thanks, Lucid.
Yeah, thanks, Lucid. We're just going to daily this now. No, we still have so much to do, Jordan. We're going to do proper range tests. We've got to figure out the rest of the charging curve stuff. We're going to, like I said, I really want to know how this thing charges when chargers aren't the issues, when ambient's not the issues. We're going to learn the full curve of the new battery pack in this. You're going to take it on a road trip right now back to Colorado. That will come on Out of Spec Motoring very soon. Basically, we have so much Lucid content. We have to compare it to Taycan and Model S and BMW i7 and Mercedes EQS sedan. There's so much, really so much to do. We can't thank Lucid enough for letting us have this, really for having the confidence in their car to just be like, all right, we know these guys are pretty crazy and they're going to do their thing, but here are the keys. Right. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool.
Right. And yeah, I think even maybe a short comparison to the S-Class, because that's what Lucid themselves had told me they're benchmarking. So.
Well, we can grab an S-Class and benchmark it. I'll drive the S-Class.
Right.
But actually, you know, there's many things that this does well. From a dynamic standpoint, I just can't get over how so like the chassis and the driving experience of Lucid is top. It's amazing. It is cruise down the highway and nice, supple, but not uncontrolled experience. Really amazing on the highway. It's sort of the faster you go, the better the car feels.
Yep.
Just comes into its own. And then you get it out here and you're just like full skids all day. You can just sleep while you're drifting it. It's amazing.
It'll be awesome to see this on proper tires too. Like these are obviously not made for skid pad track stuff. I mean, skid pad maybe, but.
It's actually really interesting because we just, after this video, we shot it, we took out some Rivians, and this has 100 times better drivetrain tuning than Rivian, and they need to like benchmark this car.
Interesting, yep.
Yeah, rather than Lucid benchmarking everyone, people need to benchmark Lucid for chassis and powertrain control.
Exactly.
And efficiency, of course. But Rivian could never be this efficient. Just the whole size and shape of the car is different. But
right.
Dude, just the way this thing, I was just like almost about to spin, wide open throttle, and it just pulls me out. I'm just blown away. Now, they need to fix the sound system.
Yep.
Sound system still sucks. So I hope that gets improved. We need big bass. Go to Bang & Olufsen or Bowers & Wilkins and just put a system in here. It'd be amazing. So it's basically like one software update, one sound system away from pretty much perfection.
Yeah, driver assistance could use a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of hogback tests will happen with this. Like,
yeah, we'll run it through the hogback.
We got to test everything. And if there's anything we haven't thought of or mentioned, let us know in the comments. Anything silly or cool or we're good.
Once we get a couple thousand miles on this car, Jordan, as we always do, we're going to do a video that's like, here's what we truly love about the Lucid that is like way above any other car. And I already have a list that I'm just like, wow, a lot of things can't even come close to touching this car. And then there's some real areas that are like, come on.
And we'll see if they can do the Rivian thing. You know, early in our Rivian ownership experience, we told Rivian our issues and they pushed updates before we would have even given it up if it had been a loaner.
Lucid did too.
So yeah, so we could do an early video with Lucid and then see if they push up updates before we give this car back.
That would be cool.
That'd be great.
That would be really cool. Anyway, I think the car looks amazing. We've just charged it up to 100% on a hydrogen GM Hydrotech charger.
Pretty cool.
And you're on your way back to
Colorado.
One charging stop.
2.
I think 1.
Nope, there's no way.
1 charging stop.
0 way.
1 charging
We're
stop.
taking bets.
I think you can do it. If you believe, the Lucid will do it. So thanks so much for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome. That's the best welcome to any test car we've ever had.
Right.
Just full rip. Welcome to our new test car. And once we get it back to Colorado, Jordan, all of the videos to come. We have so much we're going to do with this thing. And can't wait to figure out what it does on paper. You know, range test, charging test, all these things. I can't wait to see the numbers because, like I said, a lot of improvements. So see you on another one again soon. I got to go judge some SUVs. I got to drive like a new Subaru Forester.
Ooh.
So I'll see you later.
Thanks.